Hello, everyone, and welcome to Roll and Keep, Fan Tabletop's weekly show. It's all about playing, teaching, designing, and learning about settings primed with the Cortex role-playing system. My name is Melanie Doucette. I am the community manager for Cortex, and I'm going to be your friendly GM for this month's show. We'll see how long I keep that friendly moniker. It all depends on the dice. If this is your first time with us, thank you so much for joining. I'll tell you a little bit about what Cortex Prime is. It is a toolbox that you can use to play or create any genre or setting of TTRPG that you could possibly want. So for example, we are going to be playing a setting you can find in the Cortex Prime Game Handbook today, which is Eidolon Alpha, a Hellenic mythology fantasy setting. I did it 2 shows in a row. But hey, if this sounds fun, you can learn more over at cortexrpg.com, or if you're lucky, you might win a copy here today. We give away copies when our players here get something called a heroic success. What is that? Don't worry, you will find out as we play, assuming that they roll well enough, and I don't roll ridiculously well. You can go ahead and follow along in chat for opportunities for that. Enough of all of that, though. I have some amazing players here with me today. I'm very, very excited to introduce you to Cortex Prime designer and creative director, Cam Banks.
Hello.
Hello. We also have a writer, performer, and streamer who you can find articles from on D&D Beyond. You can find his face across the Twitchosphere, DeAngelo Murillo.
Hey, friends.
And the community relations coordinator for Monty Cook Games and a TTRPG designer and streamer. You may know her from Rivals of Waterdeep or her upcoming work on the official D&D adventure Critical Role Call of the Netherdeep, Latia Jakis. And our favorite half good, half bad, half boy RPG performer variety streamer, Streampunks, and Powerplay RPG, Sam Dillett. That is all of us, and that means it's time for us to stop waiting and to start playing and telling our story of Eidolon Alpha, Dekathlon. The Sea of Corsi has been divided for a long time. 10 city-states, each centered around a single powerful figure, an Eidolon, a powerful, ancient, nigh otherworldly being with its own plans for this land. And there are 10 of these Eidolons, 10 different voices vying for 10 different futures. And then there's us mortals locked in at the center of it all. But we're not all just simply mortals. Some of us are special. Chosen. Some of us have heard the call of an Eidolon, and in answering it have become endarchs, vessels, prophets, heroes of epic proportions, terrible villains. And it is to those that a new call has risen. The Phoenix cultists of the secretive and secluded Regnium have called for a ceasefire, a truce, an opportunity for rebirth, a decathlon. To the surprise of many, each city-state's representatives agreed. Each would send an endarch to represent them in the game, along with, of course, other significant guests, nobles and celebrities, anything of that sort. And perhaps it's because everybody wants an opportunity for peace. Or maybe they want something else. Whatever their reasons, everyone is here. And the road from the city-states are packed with travelers, and the borders of Regnium are a hub of activity. The chatter is lively. Regnium has never opened itself up to visitors before. And so as a convoy decked in the golds and reds and purples of the Chimera crest the hill overlooking the valley, there is a moment of awe. The fruit orchards here extend across the land, dotted with luxurious homes overlooking gardens and vineyards, and down deep past the swelling of the sweet-smelling paths is the walled city of Regnium, its parapets dotted with statues embellishing gold of their iconic phoenix in all its forms of rebirth. DeAngelo, you are a part of this convoy, a warrior endarch of the Chimera. But you're not the warrior endarch of the Chimera. You are not the champion. Hector is your nation's champion, and he stands ahead. He's this incredibly tall, built structure of a man with gleaming brown skin and thick black hair. And he stands stiff at the top of the path, stream of people sort of just breaking around him and continuing forth as he looks out upon the land, kind of pensive. You approach from behind. Could you please introduce your character to us?
Yeah, absolutely. So standing 5'5", or standing 5'5", weighing 220 pounds is Churro. As he stands there in his like outfit that he made for himself. Normal uniforms are meant for like bigger champions, so he had to like hem and sew his own stuff, and then he's completely a mask as well to ensure that like his full aesthetic is like good. There's a little like Pompadour slot for his Pompadour to be prominent and out, so it's good stuff. And he is probably like bouncing back and forth on each foot, like with anxiety, like trying to remember his like sort of lines as he's trying to remember to be as like powerful and project confidence as much as possible. But he knows that he's in over his head here, not when he's supposed to be. Doesn't have an invitation, like all that sort of stuff. So yeah, but he's a thick boy. He's quite strong, and he's swole. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, and so Hector, I mean, easily dwarfs you. I mean, you're 5'5", he's probably 6'5". So even with your Pompadour, can't quite get up to the top of his head, but he stands there and he looks smaller though, because his shoulders are kind of slumped a bit, and he just kind of like stands, and as these people just literally like kind of brush past and push past, you are coming up from behind. Are you just continuing along a path? What's your approach into this town, or your approach with Hector?
It would be so much confidence that it borderlines or even like goes across to obnoxiousness or arrogance, as he takes very huge steps because everyone else is like taller than him, so he like tries to show that he's also just as good as them, puffs out his chest and kind of like peacocks his way through, specifically looking at Hector, who is the greatest of greats, and even though Hector has like never done him wrong, like always been very kind to him and his family and all that kind of stuff, he still has like an unspoken rivalry. It's like a one-way rivalry with Hector. And yeah, as his eyes are just burning in the back of Hector's head as he's trying to keep up.
Yeah, absolutely. And so as he stops, you kind of bump into him a little bit, because it's just not expecting this literal like unstoppable force brick house to stop right in front of you. And he just kind of like looks down like, oh gosh, he's bumped into something small and tiny. And there's this just look about him that's like a really big concern for him. Like he is always worried about, impacting things around him in a negative way. And he like looks down all concerned and sees you and kind of just puts a hand kind of a little bit at the top of your head, kind of at the back, avoiding kind of the Pompadour part to the back of the head. Just like, Churro, sorry. It's big here.
Yeah, it is. It goes like, but you know what? It's fine because we come from a good town and we've trained hard. We're strong, and well, things will be good. And but you better watch out because I'm gonna definitely show you how mighty I am, because I'm looking to be the best of the best, the cream of the crop, the one-stop shop for Mod Pop for all your swole chimera needs. And then as he looks and tippy toes into Hector's eyes.
I hope you do, Churro. And as he just sort of, again, he moves that hand and, kind of claps your shoulder, but really lightly, like he has the most gentle touch like you've ever experienced. And as he does that, another convoy approaches, a party of cultists with green and silver dressings on their horses. And there is at the front of them a sallow-skinned warrior riding at its head. She's got a spear strapped to her back, a line of daggers that's kind of visible on a belt, like kind of up her thigh because of the slit in her chiton. And they don't stop or wait. Like literally, like the horse that she's riding on goes right in between both of you, kind of like pushing you back more easily than Hector, but he just kind of steps back gently. And she's like, move it, smoke breath. And her horse just kind of like huffs. It's a road, or do you not have such innovations in Connemara? And as the cultists following her snigger, you're able to easily recognize the symbol of the Hydra, which is the Chimera's mortal enemy.
Oh, I've already bit my thumb at the. Yeah, I've already.
Okay, excellent. Yes, this sounds like we're going to do a roll here, but what do you want to, like, are you going for an insult, or are you going straight into this is some kind of tussle?
He would, before that happened, he would kind of try to let down his guard a little bit, like, yo, man, what's going on? Like, why are you acting this way? Like, you're supposed to, just clap back at me. And then when that happens, he just all sees red, and then veins are pulsating and thumbs are bitten as he goes like, you think you can just disrespect me and walk away? Come back here, meet me in the parking lot. As he's just like yelling.
What do you want out of this interaction?
I want either an apology or satisfaction in showing that we are not to be messed with or disrespected. Yeah,
totally. Like you want her to show you respect. That's fantastic. So what we're going to do here, because she is a major character, a major GMC, so I'm going to go ahead and this is going to be a contest. So you're going to go ahead and roll first for me, and this is going to be a roll that will go back and forth until one of us either loses or gives in. And I'll explain what that is in a moment, but first let's go ahead. You're going to build a roll. What you're going to do is you've got trait sets, you have attributes, which is how are you approaching this. You've got roles, which is sort of like what of your training and your skills and your knowledge are you applying here, and you have your distinctions. What is it about you that is going to either make this situation work or is going to cause a problem for you in this situation. So you're gonna add one each of those dice, and then if you're using one of your powers as an endarch, you will add one of those. So go ahead and walk us through the pool that you're building.
I think I'll do warrior, because that's what I'm here to do, is to showcase like I am an athlete, I am, tough and competent and everything. Then courage, because like no one disrespects our hometown like that. And then I think I'm gonna do I bite my thumb at the to really draw in shape. And then powers, are these the SFX that I need to spend a plot point, or does that not apply here?
Those do not apply. So powers, so you could use an SFX if there's one you wanted to use, but powers are just, you can add one if it applies. Like if you're using, like I am using my, fear effect, I want to go ahead and that's my power.
Sure, I'll go ahead and do a fear effect to try to make it more daunting for the person. And then I'll roll. And then hopefully it'll be good and there's no hitches.
Ooh!
An 18, all right. There you go.
That is an incredible first roll. A 10 on a 10 and an 8 on an 8, and then a 7 on an 8 for your effect die. That is amazing. Holy boy, okay. So now I'm gonna roll using her traits. So her name is Kafaya, and she has major GMCs that are endarchs. They got this base trait of 2d8, so I'm gonna add that. I'm
gonna ask this a lot throughout the campaign. Is the NPC hot? Is the NPC attractive?
Oh yeah, I think that it's safe to say that 99% of the characters in this are hot.
Perfect.
Think of it like the Hades game. Like everybody's hot. So she's super hot. I mean, and also like that slit on her kite and showing those like knives on her. Like come on. Totally 100%.
Even the monsters are hot. The hot monsters.
That's what we're here for.
Everybody's hot. Yep. We got her roll. She's gonna use her warrior as well, and she's a D10 warrior too. You get the sense, as you're kind of sizing her up, she's probably the champion of the Hydras. But in this case, because you are trying to sort of get her to, show a little respect, kind of like back down, and you're using the fear effect, she's going to have to use her courage here. I feel like I can't really reason anything else, and her courage is only a D6. So she's all bluster. And I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to roll those dice, and we're going to see what I can get in comparison to your amazing roll. Now I cannot do it. I got an 11. So I lose. So that means that you're going to get to give her some stress, which is going to kind of last for some time. But first, looking at this, you have an 18. I have an 11. And there's a big difference between those two numbers. In Cortex Prime, if you get 5 or more higher than the other person, you have something called a heroic success. And so A means we're doing a giveaway in chat, which is awesome. And B, it means that you're going to get to step up that effect die. So it goes from a D8 to a D10.
Wow, yeah.
And that's the amount of stress that you get to give her.
Oh my God.
Which is amazing. And stress, you apply that to somebody's attributes.
Yeah.
So if you are trying to scare them, you might give them courage stress. If you are trying to hurt someone, you might give them vigor stress. If you're trying to beat them in an argument, you might give them reason stress. So you get to choose where you want to put that stress. And I will kind of explain a little bit more about what that does.
I think I'll do courage stress.
Definitely.
To knock her down a peg, to humble her. Yeah.
And it really does, because she had a D6 courage and she just got D10 courage stress. If you get stress that goes above your attribute value, you are something called shaken. And then when you roll further, you only get to keep 1 die for your result instead of 2. So she's really weakened by that. And if you get 2 attributes that are stepped up above how much you have in that value or that attribute, it means that you are stricken and you are taken out of the scene in some way. So in this case, you just actually really got to her. You have like blustered up, you've got this energy. Describe to me when you put this fear effect, it kind of transforms you a little bit, or you do some kind of like mystical, effective fear. What does that look like for Churro?
If it's all right, it'd definitely be like a Dragon Ball Z sort of situation where like when he gets bad, like the rocks around begin to tremble and rise a little bit around him and all that kind of stuff, as he just goes like, how dare you show us disrespect? Like, who raised you? Is this all what Hydras represent? As like, make sure it's loud and proud for all like other Hydras to hear and all that kind of stuff.
And you got to roar. Like chimeras have this fearsome like roar to them. So the more you kind of like bring in that power of that fear, and you're like the ground is shaking, it is this like lion's roar coming up from the earth below you. And the horse definitely like blanches and just kind of like pulls back a bit, is definitely spooked. And she like, you can see she looks spooked, and she looks over to like her followers, and she tries to steel herself. And she is now really angry, and she flips a leg over and kind of swings down, grabs her spear. And the moment that she's kind of about to go for a strike against you, you all hear a scream in the distance from Regnium. It's so loud, somebody screaming, "Murderer!" And it echoes through the valley, and you all turn, you look, you see birds taking flight, and it's that moment is enough to kind of break the tension between you two, and she kind of backs off and is like, "Not worth my time," and gets back on her horse, and they kind of all start to take off, and we cut over to Regnium. If the roads leading to Regnium are packed and the streets are overflowing, people squeeze shoulder to shoulder while there's merchants, local merchants, and also outsiders who could not pass up an opportunity like that are all hawking their wares really competitively. So it's loud. But despite this, there's like a moment of silence that has just fallen over the crowd. A gap has formed. There is this old woman who is screaming and pointing, and the person that she points at has just instantly become the center of attention. They are flanked by 2 guards who have the rooster feathered helms of the Phoenix. Cam, could you please introduce your character to us?
So Fios is about 5'10", almost 6 feet. He is very copper-colored skin. He has that kind of standard young sort of JRPG hair, which has the sort of spikes and things. It's black, but at the ends it goes towards kind of a reddish orange. And so he's just looking at this point, shocked and astonished is probably the biggest expression upon his face. He doesn't wear a whole lot of anything noticeable in terms of clothing. He's got just a general chiton that you would wear around here. He does have armor pauldrons on his shoulders, but they're not like the kind of huge full-length things that the warriors would wear. They're about this long. He doesn't have it down to his legs. He doesn't have enough engraving on anything here. He hasn't had the time or the resources or money to put a lot of attention to that. So the amount of gold that he's had access to in his life is very, very small. Mostly colors muted. Gray is a predominant one, but some washed out red and washed out black.
Yeah, and you are a Phoenix endarch, but this is a very recent event. You very recently you were a border warden, and you have just begun being walked into the city. Like, you are going through the city right now on your way to the temple. This is so new to you. And this woman is staring at you and sobbing and screaming and crying. She has collapsed down to her knees. There are people kind of beside her trying to like comfort her, other people who are really, creeped out and don't know what's going on, especially the foreigners. And her like gray hair is matted to her face with tears. Her body's just draped in these black veils. The guards just kind of move in a position to protect you and just move along. And she doesn't. But because like there's not really like any action that picks up, like the guards aren't doing anything to her, she's not doing anything to you, it's just she's crying and they're standing there and you're standing there. okay, this is boring. There's more exciting stuff happening. This is like an Olympic Village situation. There's a lot of things going on. And she just continues wailing, and she stops finally staring at you like deep into your eyes and is now just almost collapsed on the ground. How does it make you feel?
I'm just surprised. I look at the guards. These guards are with me, right? These are sort of escorting me.
They're your escorts.
And I'm like, as if, is she pointing at them? It's my first thought. What is she complaining about? Why is she screaming? And then trying to pull myself together and approach her. I want to sort of go up to her and sort of like lower myself. Is she like on the ground sobbing?
Yeah, she's on the ground. She cannot stand anymore. She's just overcome with like the agony of her emotions.
I haven't had almost any experience with around Phoenix endarchs anyway, prior to my becoming one. And so my understanding of them is being heroic, sort of timeless, icons of our community. So all I can pull together is something like, everything will be okay. It's all right.
I love it. Let's do a roll here. It's gonna be a test, not a contest. She is a minor character. I'm gonna go ahead and add in. I'm gonna make this a challenging test. What I do is I pick a difficulty. In this case, I'm picking challenging, which is 2d8s. But she's got some traits that represent her. And, she is a grieving widow D8. So I'm going to roll 3 D8s against you here, Cam, and set a difficulty that you have to try to overcome. Aha! Wow. Well, I rolled well, but I did get a 1, which when a GM rolls it is called an opportunity. And you can spend a plot point in order to buy that, to step down some stress or a complication that you have, or if you have any assets, to step those up temporarily as well. But I don't think you have any stress and you don't have any assets yet. So you just keep your plot point, your nice plot point there.
I'll keep it, yeah.
Let's see how you roll. See if you get any
14 is pretty good, Nelly.
14 is very good.
These initial rolls of the session, I'm a little worried. That means that we're going to roll really badly later on. So, all right.
When it really matters, yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm trying to draw on a sort of not just say diplomacy, but trying to remember the way that this is supposed to be. I don't think this is either warrior or scout. This is a priest kind of thing. I'm trying to use my memory of what an endarch is supposed to do and how their relationship to the population is meant to be. So I'm going to communicate that way. So that's not very good. My priest is only D6. This is not my training. And I'll be using reason, I think, to try and talk my way through it in a calm and measured way. And that is also a D6. So you can see how this is going so far.
Yeah.
And Phoenix's Novak is my distinction that applies here. I'm trying to build on that. I don't fully expect this to work, by the way. I think that if I fail, it's not going to be a bad thing in terms of the story. I think I'm not good at this yet. But who knows? I could be lucky. My powers, immortality, flight, and fire breath, none of which.
I mean, you can just light her on fire.
I could. I'd say, what's wrong? Whoosh.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm not used to it yet.
I could just stand there being immortal and seeing if that helps, but I don't think that works either. All right, so I will roll my dice and see what happens. Yeah. So. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what did you get? It's not showing on my side.
Okay, I got a hitch, and my total is 9.
Okay, all right. So the hitch is great. So what happens when players roll a 1 is it's called a hitch, and I can buy them from you. I can give you a plot point, and then I can give you either complications or some stress. In this case, I would definitely love to, I think, give you a little bit of stress. And so I'm going to give you a plot point, and then the stress I would like to give you that I'm going to step up for you is going to be, what attribute do you think would tie into this like accusation and her pain is just like staying with you in your mind even after you leave her?
Well, I don't think it's fear. I think that this might be something that applies to reason because it confuses and distracts. So that's a thing that would hinder someone's reasoning, as opposed to making me afraid or worried or doubtful or anything else, which might be the courage.
Excellent. So yeah, go ahead. You get a D4 of reason stress. on there. And that is that you go up to her and you start talking, and finally, like her sobbing ceases for a moment. She is just now you can like just see her shoulders shaking. She's covered in these veils, and now people are watching again because okay, wait, this just got interesting. And there's a moment of silence where you think maybe she has, she's going to listen to you, and maybe this is going to be okay. Mm-hmm. And it's in that moment that she lunges, and she just like with her nails, it's just like so angry. She reaches for you like she's going to strangle you or grab you or do something. The guards move in and pull her off of you immediately. One of them like immediately is like, restraining her, while the other is grabbing your arm and leading you away. And she just continues to scream, "Murderer! Murderer!" as you walk through the streets, just getting more and more eyes. And that cry, it seems to just echo through the city, and it echoes into this temple, even though the temple here in Regnium is, pretty soundproofed. You can feel like you can still hear it. It's just echoing in the corners of your mind. And then you come to kind of the central chamber of the temple, a warm chamber that is lit kind of dully by this moat of hot coals that divides the room from a stairway that kind of goes up to a kind of raised area with 3 thrones, 2 of which are currently filled. And you don't know where the voice comes from. There's a bunch of priests kind of lining the wall, but a voice echoes from somewhere that says, "Theos of the border, you have received the call. Did you accept?"
Yes, I did.
Then prove yourself now before Novark Frodo and Novark Anandra. Step forth and be reborn. And the 2 throne figures stand, lift their cloaks just enough you could see their chin and their lips, and they take a deep breath, and then they blow out this gout of fire that fills those coals and lights this terrible wall of flame, blocking you from the stairs. And then the voice says, "Come to your throne." What do you do?
So, in my mind, I'm thinking, I think I know what this is about, and that's terrifying, because if I'm wrong, right? If for some reason this didn't work, that's it for me. But I have courage. I have more courage than many. I have faced things in the borders that would make people shake in their boots. I just haven't experienced a whole lot of this priestly magic, the kind of stuff that we're talking about here. So I will close my eyes, try to remember what it is that they told me when this happened, which is very little, and then take a step forward.
Excellent. Yeah, you take your steps forward and pass into the flames, and it is pain and burning and searing and melting, but then you feel numb and it goes dark. And we cut over to the coastline of Regnium, the sparse few trading channels through which the Phoenix allows typically just its closest allies, Siren and Hydra, in through. Now it is a patchwork of ships crammed together and loud with sea shanties. Sam, could you not only introduce your character to us, but also the ship that they have arrived on?
Yes. So Poseidon's Joy is fairly... Well, look, more is more. And so it's a rather large ship as these things go, and fortunately has some nice, comfortable places for one to get a view of everybody else who is in the Phoenix's channel. Teresa is leaning over the railing. They are 6 foot, lithe, lanky, not an excess of muscle, this bro do not lift. But they're draped almost cat-like over the side of their ship and taking in and mentally inventorying every single other ship in this bay, who they're associated with, and where we last saw them.
Excellent. Yeah, and you are definitely able to see, like, there are so many. There's Leviathan ships, which, you know, they have a lot of great military equipment, but they don't have riches. But then you see other ships like that of the Minotaur and the Gorgon, and there's some interesting things that could potentially be carried on those, especially as you see them taking some off, some gifts that they're bringing. Maybe there's more. And you get to look at all that, as well as you get to see all of the other Siren cultists on your ship who are, disembarking and unloading and kind of getting ready for the trek towards the city. And it took a lot of doing, but you are the champion, so you don't have to do all of this grunt work. You kind of get this moment to relax, as everybody else really has to make this work for you. And, you know, maybe it's not for the same reasons as, Churro wants to be a champion, and maybe it's not quite as grandiose as how Theos became a champion, but who isn't here for their own reasons? And you can take advantage of this moment to kind of have a last opportunity to kind of collect your belongings from this ship that you might want without anybody knowing what it is that you've taken. What is it that you want to make sure that you bring with you without anybody seeing?
Yes, so I have a circlet that looks like laurels, but they're owl feathers, or the siren. And into that, I'm just going to slip a small poison vial. And into the inside of my chitin, I will tuck my dagger. And I'll tuck just a tiny additional one into my sandal, which are well strapped up to the knee. And that's what I make sure I have with me. I mean, what do you need for these athletic events anyway?
Yes, you gather, you make a plan to go gather all of that stuff. You kind of go back to your chamber on the ship, but everybody's really distracted, so you're making your way down in that direction. But I would like a roll here, just to see, does anybody notice you, or do you notice anybody else? Are you able to kind of sneak up on somebody else, maybe doing something that maybe they shouldn't be doing? So I'm going to set a difficulty here for this test. I think because people are distracted and because this is definitely something that you are very skilled at, it's not going to be too terribly difficult. This is going to be 2 d6s, but there is a character here that you don't yet know is here that is going to add a trait to this. So I'm going to go ahead and add their guile. And I'm going to roll that.
All right. So this feels like scouting to me, trying to find someone. And if I am trying to catch someone out, that's about being sly, but also about being quiet. So I would say this feels like Grace, a little more than scouting. And if I throw distinction in here, I think cunning trapper fits kind of perfectly.
I love it. I suppose my dice really stopped working. I'm going to really quickly roll some actual dice.
All right. Ooh. All right. Actual dice. Ain't we fancy?
Actual dice. More dice than I have, though.
Good.
thing.
Good problem,
Dice very handy all of the time.
It's almost like we all play TTRPGs a lot.
So many of them. All right, I got it.
I have no idea what you're talking. I've never played a TTRPG. Is that a
pig?
Bless you.
So I got a 13. What did you get?
Oh, you beat me handily. That was an 8.
An 8. Okay.
With a hitch, I believe.
With a hitch. Okay. Excellent. So yes. So what is going to happen here? I'm going to go ahead and buy that hitch from you, which is just going to be a complication. And so a complication is not like stress, but it is kind of going to just be a this kind of negative thing that is happening that is very conditional, and you'll have it as long as it takes until it is no longer narratively relevant. And what size dice did you get your hitch on?
The D8.
D8. So I give you a plot point, and you're going to get a D8. Someone has been snooping. Die. That you get into your space, and you can just notice that something is wrong. That there has definitely been some things that are slightly out of place, but you don't see anybody. You didn't see anybody leaving when you came in.
All right. Well, I am going to walk up to my things. I'm going to collect them, as I said. I'm going to stop, take a little scrap of papyrus and some ink, and I'm just going to scribble something very quickly. I'm going to look around. I'm going to hide it in a very secret spot. And it will say on it, "Nice try." And I'll very furtively and very paranoidly leave my room, my quarters, and go back up on the deck.
I love it. Yeah, so you look very like, oh no. And then you leave and you go back up, and you're back up on the deck. You're kind of finishing up the last few things to sort of get yourself prepared to set off for Regnium. And coming up from behind you, not very long after you left the below decks, is your associate of a kind. And I had to restart my Chrome, so let me get my notes back, because their name has many letters that cannot stay in head, because head can only hold so many letters.
It's true.
It's so true.
It starts devious, or
it starts with a P.
Penthesilea.
Yes, Penthesilea. There we go. Comes up behind you, just kind of brush the back of the hand, kind of, on the side of your shoulder. It kind of stands next to you. Chrissy.
Penny.
Are you ready?
Well, I didn't come all this way to just hang out on the deck. And you? Are you going to be joining me?
Well, I will be watching, and, when you die, I will take your place. If you die, if you die, I will take you.
If you could, you would take my place.
Of course. I just thought I'd let you know, I thought I'd left my favorite knife in your room from last time. So if you see it, just let me know. But good luck, and don't embarrass us, or I'll disown you. And she just kind of like leans in, just kind of like cheek to cheek, and then just kind of backs away, kind of going back to the ship to continue business, allowing you to leave. And we can see kind of as she stalks back down into the ship, the camera kind of follows her, and she goes back into your room where she had just been. You see the little note that you had just written. It has already been set out because she'd already pulled it out and read what it said. It's just sitting out on the desk. And she continues to do her snooping and going through some maps. We can see some of these older maps. They're well done. They're beautiful, but you can also tell they're kind of by eye. We can see that they are a little bit amateurish, and by the way that the text is written, that they are, probably a child's hand. But stylistically, they're quite beautiful. And as we zoom into those, and then we zoom back out onto a very similar style of map, like the artistic sense is the same, although this is, kind of leaps and bounds above that. More refined, and it's in the hands of our fourth and final endarch. Latia, could you please introduce your character to us as you are led to the Regnium temples by your caretaker?
So Minoa is, by all accounts, extraordinarily average looking. She's maybe 5'7", 5'8", dark brown skin, very well kept locks that are kind of pulled into like a chignon in the back of her head. She's wearing a very plain looking sort of diadem that sits right on her hairline, comes around into these minotaur horns that are kind of like facing forward. And she's dressed really simply, like bright but understated robes. And in her hands she is carrying like a leather bound folio of just like sheaf after sheaf of papyrus full of like all of these maps. And is it crowded where she is?
Yeah, you're kind of in a spot where there's lots of crowds, but you are very close to kind of breaking through that and into sort of the more exclusive paths that seem to be solely for the athletes and for very special guests that kind of goes into the temple itself, where those people get to stay, which you are one of.
Okay. You can see she can't quite see over the crowds, but you can see that even like there's a look on her face, like she is looking out and ahead, but it's very calculated. Like she is plotting her path through these people to get out of them.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is something that comes more naturally to you when it is a very stable structure that is very predictable, and people aren't as predictable. And so you're kind of like looking for this exit, and Demetra, your caretaker, somebody who you have a very positive relationship with and who cares for you very deeply, kind of just notices that. Like she's kind of familiar with like, you're not used to crowds, and this is very overwhelming. This is an overwhelming amount of crowds. So she like kind of puts an arm just around your shoulder, kind of another hand on your arm. It's like, we're almost there. I know it's a lot. I asked them if there was a back way that we could get in, but apparently this first event of its kind and all.
This is fine. I mean, I'm here for a reason, and people are not stone. I know stone much better than I know people. This is difficult. I'll be fine though.
Yes, it is a huge opportunity, and we are so lucky that we have you and that we have a chance to do this. But yes, it is also a lot. And yes, you're right. People are not stone. People can be a lot more frightening than stone, and unpredictable as well. Stone is very predictable, except for when it falls from places you don't expect it to fall from. And she just kind of blathers on in a way that's very calming, and is able to kind of guide you, get to that path, and continue sort of just making light chatter and kind of conversing lightly with guards as you make your way kind of through a predetermined route through this temple. Like you're very much, it's like, you are not allowed through this way. You're not allowed through this way. You're not allowed through this way. You can't go through this way. And you eventually get to a room. She shuts the door with some relief as you're able to kind of settle. We are the first. Can you believe it? We are the first non-Phoenix to get to be here. And you, Manoa, you are a very, very special guest. Not a warrior champion. That's all pageantry. What you're going to be able to do here is so much more important. The research opportunity of a lifetime, of many lifetimes. I wonder if they have anything to eat. Are you hungry?
During this entire rambling conversation Demetra has been having, Minoa has taken off the head thing because it's really heavy, and they didn't give her enough time to learn how to wear it before she got on her ship to come here.
Did it get like caught in your hair?
No, she's managed to. So it's the taking off does some doing, because she's managed to. She put it on first and then styled her hair around it. No. So it takes some doing before it comes off.
As soon as she notices, like, and it's been a bit of a struggle, and it's taken her some time to notice. As soon as she does, she's over there and she's like, oh my gosh, and she's trying. How did you not put your hair around? Like,
no, they didn't give me enough time to get used to it, and it's very heavy.
Right. It's okay. You know what? I will talk to them. I'm so sorry. She's like helping you kind of extract it off of there. Yes, well, okay. You get unpacked. I'm gonna see if what they can offer for tours or some reading material. Take advantage while we can before the ceremony.
Before things get too hectic, yes.
loud again. Yes, at least it's a little quieter in here, some kind of soundproofing. But Manoa, just stay put. Don't stray. Okay? Are you going to be all right alone for a little while?
Yes, Demetra. Like
it's
this,
not that
it's no, it's very exasperated, but at the same time, it's very like Demetra. I'm old enough. I love you, but I'm old enough.
She kind of gives you that look of like knowing that you're old enough, but not wanting you to be. Like she just still kind of wishes you're still a child that she just had to protect and keep sequestered. And she's a little, yes, well, I don't distrust people on instinct. I don't think that that's the way we should be doing things, but there are tensions here enough, and they're ripe and they could boil, and I'll be back. And just know I'm proud of you always. Love you. Okay, and she leaves, leaving you alone in this room, in this temple. What do you do with your time?
I think I give it 5 minutes before I'm out of my room.
Amazing.
Like
what are
enough time for her to take the path that I know we took here, so that I can go and find another one.
Amazing. I love it. Yes. So you're kind of just looking for some other path. Are you trying to sort of be a little bit inconspicuous, like you don't want other people to be able to know that you're sort of doing this? Or are you being very just like genuine, I'm exploring, it's fine?
I'm gonna be genuine about it. Like I don't want to get in trouble yet.
Sweet. Yeah, so you start wandering. You do find a lot of places where there are guards posted and like there are locked doors. It's like obviously like, no, you cannot come this way, but they do kind of direct you in some other directions you could go that are more open area. And you start to just get this overwhelming sense. You have this senses as one of your powers. And you kind of get this overwhelming sense of other and dark powers, like so many of them kind of gathered in one area. And you definitely get a sense like that must be where the athletes are starting to gather.
Mm-hmm.
And as you're sort of focusing on that, you also sense one of those sort of going off on its own. Outside of that, as you're sort of wandering, there's, there are paths, but none of it is particularly interesting. Like you're kind of trying to get a sense of, are there other pathways? Are there other things? But any direction you go that seems interesting, there's a guard in your way.
Mm-hmm.
There is a locked door. So there are definitely like people, and there are maybe, some way you could convince a guard or sneak past one, but just to genuinely wander into these other areas that seem like they could have some secret pathways is very challenging.
I'm just going to make a mental note of all of the areas that I can't go, and just keep that in mind for later.
Definitely.
Like if there's a guard that looks particular, like maybe younger or like less seasoned, I may try to chat them up and I'm like, so what's behind that door?
Yeah, let's do a roll for that. See,
Let's do it.
We've got a guard here. So I'm going to go ahead. I think it's going to be easy 2d6s, but they're going to have a trait that they are, they're a temple guard, which is going to be a d8. They've got kind of that going on for them, I think, still not working. So I'm rolling physical dice. Whoop, and I dropped one on the floor. That is the thing you don't get with digital dice. Okay, I have, for difficulty for you, Latia, I have 7 + 4. It also doesn't do math for you, and I'm very bad at math. 11.
That's
is
okay.
the difficulty that you have to beat. Go ahead and walk us through building a dice pool here.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with, I think I'm gonna start with priest. I'm in a temple, so we'll start with priest. I am, just another temple attendant, goer, endarch, just trying to see what other temples are like, especially Regnium. Y'all haven't opened this place up for a while. And then I think I'm gonna go with a little bit of guile, because this is definitely, it's more charm than I would use for grace.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna add my eidetic cartographer distinction, because that's what I'm trying to do here.
Yeah, trying to make this mental map of this place and get a little bit more information. Absolutely.
Okay. Does that seem good? It seem good? All right, let's do the roll.
What did you get?
I got a 10.
Okay. Do you have any other? Did you roll any hitches? I should ask.
I did not roll any hitches.
Okay, so that die that immediately kind of went over to your effect die, you can spend a plot point if you wanted to take that die and move it over into your total, if you would like.
Ooh.
It was a 2.
It was a 2. And yeah, I will spend a plot point for that because I want to know the things.
Excellent. So you do that. And you do. I mean, this is kind of like this younger guard. You're kind of younger, and you're also like from a different place. You start getting to talking, and this is the temple guard, and you learn that he's an acolyte of the Phoenix, and he really hopes to one day kind of move from being a guard, maybe into some priesthood or some scholarship. This is kind of his route into that. So he's excitedly kind of telling you about this stuff, and you sharing things about your own temples gets me excited to be like, oh yeah, and yeah, we have all of these really hidden pathways and tunnels, and like realizing like after this, like I shouldn't. I mean, like they're all like locked, and like you can't really access them or anything. That's why we're sort of here. But I mean, it is really cool how all of our temples like all have those kind of hidden things. Like it's really neat that I feel like we're really all the same.
Yeah. Like, are y'all like? Do you have like? Do they connect to other buildings in the city or?
Well, I've only been through a couple of them. Some of them just kind of go to different areas in the temple. Some go to others in city. Some go to the mines as well. Like we've got gold mines here. But a lot of those are like the older ones. They don't really like go to current ones. They're like the empty ones that aren't getting used anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, they're kind of cool. I went there as a kid once. We kind of like snuck in. It was like really scary, but it was really cool too.
Did you find any gold?
No. Found a lot of spiders though, which was really creepy. But it's an empty cave. What are you gonna do? And as you're talking, coming from behind, we kind of cut a little bit back in time, just a little bit. As Theos, you have reformed. You've been rebirthed. You notice that old scars that you've had for a long time aren't there anymore. Your skin is clearer than it has ever been. Like you just have this new skin and this new body. You had a kind of crick in your hip just from all the walking that you've always had to do as a border warden. That's gone. Like you just feel like in the best shape of your life. And you are collected by somebody who's very familiar to you. What was your sister's name?
Magdalena.
Magdalena. So she comes to collect you. At first you don't know it's her. She's kind of wearing this heavy cloak that's covering her face. But then when she comes in, she kind of like lifts it up like, hey, I couldn't believe it when I heard it. You're an endarch. You're a phoenix. I'm supposed to take you to the other athletes.
But Magda?
Hi.
It's what you're.
Yeah, I'm a priestess now. I mean, sort of my job is lore keeping and I mean technically training new endarchs, which I didn't think I would ever have to do because they don't die, so we don't get new ones. But I guess it's a good thing they trained me to do it. Hi, and she comes and gives you a hug.
And
oh,
I'm
you
just
look
like,
great.
It's been 15 years.
Yeah. I mean, and I didn't think we would ever really. I mean, you're on the border. I'm in here. It just.
They told me that we would never see you. That was it.
Yeah, but you're an endarch now. That changes everything. I mean,
I don't know.
You're
why.
You're going to be a hero.
But I can't be. This can't.
We don't. The Phoenix chose you. Hey, the Phoenix chose you. That must mean something. We can't question that. Okay.
Well, it really did surprise a lot of the people in the tent. Is what I'm telling you.
Well, yeah, of course, because we don't die, and somebody died, and there's questions about that. But maybe they just did something the Phoenix didn't like. You just have to, do the right things.
So there's a trial period?
Well, no, I think it's just more, if you make the thing that makes you immortal unhappy, then maybe you won't. And anyways, I tried to tell them that maybe we wouldn't have you with the other athletes. You're still getting used to everything, but they really want to show the whole, we're all one, we're united kind of thing. So I do have to bring you to the other athletes. So is that you just follow me. And she starts kind of explaining some of like the ways that the temple works and some of the other things as you walk together. And you're beginning to come down this hallway where Latia, your character, Manoa, is talking to this guard. You see this Phoenix, Endarch. Now you have...
Did I have clothes?
You have some new finery.
Okay.
That really shows your rank, and you can still choose to wear the older things if you'd like, but they do provide you with that new stuff.
I think they burned off. Is my problem with that.
Oh yes, that is true. There's still, you've charred pauldrons that have been left for you. The rest, yes, has burned off, but they did have new, like, it's a little big on you because the person who was the warrior before you was a heftier, buffer kind of person. But they made some adjustments. And yeah, so she's kind of speaking to you about sort of how all this temple stuff works as you pass by Manoa and this guard, and she hears this guard kind of talking and stops and is like, "Oh, hello. You are a Minotaur Endarch. It is outstanding to have you here. Hello."
Hey, I'm Manoa.
I'm Manoa. I am just one of the priestesses here. Nobody important. This is our champion. My brother. This is Theos. Are you the Minotaur champion?
No.
Well, do you know where you're supposed to be?
Yes.
Good. Great. Well, I can help you get back there if you want, or...
Oh, no. I can find my way. I was just talking to this young gentleman about like some of the temple architecture and things like that. So I'm a sort of an art student and very interested in Regnium's not been open for a while, so just the temple looks really nice.
We actually are offering some tours and some talks. We also have a pottery class that we're running. It's actually for kids, but if you are interested in art, absolutely, I can get you into that. So just let me know and we can definitely get something sorted for you.
Keep me in mind for the tours, not so much the pottery.
Perfect.
The
do you wanna...
tours are open to us too, right?
Yes, and we should probably do that. But first, why don't you just come with... I can give you a little bit of a tour right now. We're going to go see where we're keeping all of the other athletes. It's going to be quite interesting, I think. And she just kind of puts a hand on your shoulder of like, you're coming with us.
Yes.
What would you like to do?
I think like she is interested, and like I think this guard has mostly just started talking about how like his two best friends were absolutely positive that they ate like 3 spiders while they were down in the old mines, and she's kind of bored of that conversation, so she's more than willing to be led along.
Totally. Yeah, that conversation has filled its needs. And so she starts to kind of lead you and Theos down through some more pathways towards where you felt that just hub of energy. And over there, Churro, you're not one of the champions, but they do get to have a couple guests with them, people to kind of help them, keep on their regimens and keep them honest. And also, hey, backups if you die. That's a thing in ancient sports. So you're with Hector there, but he's kind of as cold and aloof as usual. And all of the other Endarchs that you see here are all pretty like, they have friends that they already know here, or they have allies, and they're kind of like in their own little cliques already by the time that you get here. So you just see like, wyverns who are playing with some ball, and their like arms are just like so like stretching, kind of like getting in the way when you try to move around the room. You have like a Gorgon who is just like turned themselves to stone and is meditating. Not great conversation partner. What are you doing to just kind of keep yourself entertained or to do something interesting as you have arrived in this space?
I pretty much be like walking around with Hector, like literally to the point where like the bathroom's like empty, and despite there being multiple urinals, we're like right next to each other, and then just being like, "Are you hungry?" Because I'm like, I am hungry. I get like nervous when I get, I'm hungry when I get nervous. It's like, are you feeling like, did you eat enough? Did you like drink? You definitely need to drink more water.
Yes,
I'm
good. Let me ask you, Churro. do you really want this, being a champion and doing dangerous sports in places with people who may or may not want you alive?
Yeah, I mean, like, a life of being a champion is all I've ever wanted. Like, I come from a family of accountants, it's all about numbers and all that kind of stuff for them. And like, I knew when I was like, 4 years old, and I got to wrestle with a bunch of my cousins, and I knew at that point that this was my future. So like, this is absolutely what I want. But like right now, this is your moment. This is your day. You're representing the whole village back home. So like, I'm here for you, man.
Yes. They will be disappointed if we lose.
They will be heartbroken, like shattered completely in a million pieces, for sure. But like, that's not gonna happen, right? I mean, like even though I feel like I'm better than you, like I know that you're like, competent and amazing. So like, and you're like, you're not really talking that much. Are you okay? You feeling well? As he tippy toes and puts his hand on like his forehead to feel if he has a fever.
You are very skilled, Churro. You would make a good champion.
I know that, but like, my time's not now. This is your turn.
He just like grabs your hand and like lowers it. I do not wish for this, but I must do it to represent us, correct?
Well, I mean, like, first off, you're your own man, so like you can do whatever you want to. Like, I thought I was under the interpretation that you wanted to, or perception that you wanted this, but like, now you don't. Like, what has all the training been for? What's all the long nights and the pasta eating and all that?
I like pasta.
Well, same, but like, you eat a very calorie dense diet. Like, I've seen you eat multiple chickens.
I have more to fill.
True.
It is nothing. Never mind. We will talk later, Churro. Go and make nice. We should do that. And he leaves. He's trying now to like make awkward conversation with other endarchs in this room. And when you come out, you see now kind of this temple priestess. You've seen a lot of them kind of like guiding the athletes in, leading in Theos in this just, beautiful, brand new looking, like very shiny phoenix, armor and regalia, as well as a minotaur. Yeah, keeping the gray pauldrons, though, so it kind of like stands out in this interesting way. And then as well, this minotaur who doesn't really look like a warrior at like first kind of glance up and down. And as they enter, like other people turn, like they're really sizing people up. You can like see like the manticore champion like just grins and mouth is like huge, sharp teeth just bulging, just very threatening. The like wyverns kind of like, one of them goes to like maybe like trip somebody because I think it'd be really funny and like stretch out their leg, and then the other one kind of like slaps them and they like zoop their leg back in. But yeah, you see these two new people coming in and everybody just turns and they're silent, expecting Theos for you to say something.
Yeah, and so that moment hits me because I don't think I was even ready for this, because Magdalena was too busy talking about random people she's found in the hallway. But if everyone's eyes are on me, I just look and, well, welcome to Regnium.
Thank you.
And there's a couple other firsts.
Is that right? That good?
Magda's just like, and she said, well, I think, we're gonna, great. And as she's kind of turning, she's just checking in to make sure everybody's behaving themselves. And this is the moment where, Manoa, you kind of notice that one endarch energy, like there's another path kind of that goes towards those washrooms, and there's another kind of, doorway past that, another like arch, and you can kind of see the foot of what looks to be like a guard shoe kind of like poking out from behind it.
Am I this curious? Of course I am. I'm going.
Excellent.
Like,
So you start
just-
going that way?
Yeah, like no word to
Magdalena?
to
Orpheus?
Magda or well, there's like I'm giving Fios an awkward thumbs up along with his sister because I really don't know what the code of conduct is for this, but I have seen something that catches my eye and I say, excuse me, just one moment. I go.
Yeah. So you kind of go that way. Churro, you kind of pass. And Churro, you have an opportunity to approach, hey, somebody who knows this place really well. Clearly they are from here. This is your opportunity, man.
Perfect. I'll definitely the gray pauldrons will like attract me to Theo says. I'll like head over to him and be like, whoa, those are awesome, as he like tiptoes and like looks at like the pauldrons and all that kind of stuff. And he was like, that's really cool. Where'd you get those? Do they sell them here?
All the scouts at the border wear them.
Ooh, the border. You probably some good stories. Do you know this place well?
I look at Magda and I sort of think, wow, if I say I don't know it, I'm going to look like an idiot. So I'll say, of course, I know this place well. This is Rignium. I've protected with my life, all my life. This is home.
I respect that.
Central anchor of Phoenix cult.
Nice about that. I love that for you. Do you know where there's any like karaoke bars around here? Like I've been just like, I do it as a ritual when I get nervous, but like I don't have it here. Like, do you know of any places?
You're not allowed outside of the assigned areas.
Oh, ooh, that's gonna be a problem.
One thing you know to be true.
Secondary question: what if someone were to go out? What would happen to them?
And we cut over to Litia. Manoa is, kind of like going towards the speed. We kind of cut around that corner. We see that there's this guard. They're not dead or anything. They're just a little bit unconscious, maybe a little bit of, something that they, ingested or inhaled. Has just kind of put them to sleep just for a little bit, just like enough time that somebody can kind of go down this hallway and look for anything interesting. Krista, could you tell us, you've gone down this hallway. What is it that you are, looking for as, are you looking for kind of like an painting, a tapestry, other rooms, resources of any kind? Like what are you hoping to see back here or determine?
It could be in an armory, it could be in some kind of a treasure hoard. I don't know exactly where these Phoenices would put something like this. So I suppose the first order of business is simply to get a lay of the palace and hopefully stumble upon it. The more one goes where one shouldn't, the more likely it is one will find things one isn't supposed to.
Excellent. So yeah, you're kind of just like looking for, other rooms that you can access and take a peek into. You're seeing, are there any hidden chambers anywhere? So you're kind of going down this hall. You know how much time you have before this guard's going to start to come a little bit, come back to themselves. But Manoa, you kind of peek around this corner and you see that other endarch now just poking around and looking at these walls, going in, coming out of doorways.
Have you found anything cool?
Oh, sorry. I got lost and Are you the Minotaur champion?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not fighting, but I'm an endarch.
Lovely to meet you.
Same. I'm Manoa.
Of course you are. I'm Krisa.
Nice to meet you. That's a very lovely name.
Thank you. I got lost.
How unfortunate?
Isn't it just? It's such a very big place with so many little corridors.
Very, very easy to lose one's way, especially when guards are sleeping on the job.
It's so clumsy of them,
Mhm.
honestly. They should have a word. But if you really are a Minotaur endarch, then I could think of no better person to help me navigate these hallways. Would
Sure.
you like to?
Did you know that there are gold mines under here?
That's not the half of it.
And then I think we just like start walking.
Absolutely. I love it. So you start walking, you're starting to use those senses and trying to like get a sense of are there any pathways here that there shouldn't be, anything out of place? And you know, actually let's do a roll here, Litia. Let's use those powers for a fun roll. It gives me 2D. I need another D. See, the problem is I got one complete dice set. I need more D8s than I have in one dice set. It's
Definitely
This is how you end
wall.
up with a trunk of dice.
Yep,
Look,
it's
I
definitely a
have a
dice goblin
wall.
game.
I got a wall. Yes, it is. If you like dice, if you want to grab whole big handfuls of dice and roll them, Cortex is a good game for you. So I'm gonna do this is gonna be 2d8s. This is a challenging test. And I'm gonna go ahead and roll those. I got a 9, Litia. That's what you have
Ooh.
to test against.
Okay. I'm gonna stick with priest because doing that, I feel like no, this is really more scout. Like I'm scouting now. Like
Yeah, definitely.
like all notion of doing what I am supposed to do has gone out of the window because somebody has made it possible for me to be mischievous. So that's going to be scout, and then we're going to use guile because guile goes with everything. And then I think eidetic cartographer again because I'm
nice.
still trying to map this place out.
Yeah, and throw your senses in there too.
Ooh, I will throw my senses in there. All right, let's go.
See, and I threw my good sense out right when my
All right, I got a 12.
Ooh, that definitely beats my 9. And what is your effect die on that?
My effect die is a 6 on a d10.
Nice, D10. So yeah, so when you get a D4 effect die, it's like you barely scrape by. D12 effect die means like this is the best thing that could happen. So D10 is very, very good. And so yeah, you start to get a sense. You're walking together, and you definitely you can identify really quickly some of the rooms that are here, even if they're locked. Like just from your senses, you're like, okay, by the way that this is built, that is an armory. By the way that one is built, that is, you know, some kind of storage space that, you know, raw ore would be stored there before being moved, but it's not in use anymore because you don't sense any raw ore there. But you're moving more, and you get drawn to one space that you feel very strongly like that's a path. That should be a path, but it's not a path. And so you arrive at it, and there is a carving there of the Dekathlon, so the 10 eidolons kind of in their circle. But the wall is pretty old. Like it has not old, rather, sorry, rewind there. It is not particularly well made, and it seems to be a different material than the stuff around it. And you can definitely see that there's like cracks kind of forming, and as you're kind of looking at this and
Hasty construction.
Very hasty construction. And you also get a sense like this, like there's something about kind of the Dekathlon here that is just it's not quite correct. There's something weird or wrong about it that's just giving you a strange sense, but your eye just keeps getting drawn back to that crack in the wall, like near the ceiling. It just gives you this feeling that you're being watched.
I think once we arrive at this hastily constructed carving, I think Minoa's eyes are just drawn to it. And she says to Chryssa, do you feel that?
Feel what?
And like she'll walk over to it, and she'll like, is it tall enough for her to touch?
Yeah, it is like at the kind of like the top of the wall, like where it connects to the ceiling. There's like a crack that's run down. So yeah, you can definitely kind of touch the bottom of the crack.
Okay, so yeah, she'll run up and she'll like run her hands like along the seam of the bottom of the crack, and it's like, this does not feel right.
In fact, as you touch it, like it's like this scalding sense, like you want to just pull your hand back immediately, like it really hurts.
Is it hot?
Yes and no. You try. I mean, I don't want you to get hurt, but maybe you'll feel something I don't.
Carissa will pull the dagger out from their chiton and wedge the tip of it into the crack.
You wedge the tip of it into the crack, and as you get closer to it and you start really looking at it, you also just get that sense of like, this feels like something's watching me, like this is weird. And you kind of like put that knife in, and it doesn't feel hot, it feels fine. Kind of put in a little bit more, kind of wiggle it a bit, and it's when your fingers get close to it and kind of brush against like close to the crack, you feel it in your fingers like this immediately scalding sense, and you have to pull it back. The dagger's not hot, just that hurt your skin.
Didn't affect my knife, just me and you.
And as you pull back, and as you know, Minoa, you're kind of observing this image of the Dekathlon, which again just feels wrong, and this crack feels wrong, this whole thing feels wrong. You hear a horn. And we're just gonna cut again back in time a little bit, back to Churro and Fios as you're talking, getting a sense of kind of this place together. Fios, what is not a lie, but something that you just made up about this place that we are cutting back into?
Okay. So we have the Sacred Bards, which all the athletes may at some point be allowed to congregate around, and hot springs. That's a huge feature of Rignium in the middle.
That's not true.
What?
And just the Hydra endarch from earlier, Churro, is kind of like leaning, has again, allies. And this person should be a little bit more respectful to you, Fios, because Hydra and Phoenix are allies, but very much doesn't care.
Mm-hmm.
That is, who even are you? I know the Phoenix champion, and this is not her. So who are you? And the wyverns kind of pop up at this point and kind of like stretch sort of around you, and they kind of like, this is a short person, like they look like they should be a kid, but they're probably just, somebody who looks kind of young, and they sort of like stretch their legs up so they're the same height as you, and they're like, yeah, kind of scrawny. And now you have like the manticore coming up, it's like very tiny, and just those teeth right by your ears, like they're now crowding around you and questioning you. Either of you, what would you like to do in this situation?
Churro will definitely step into the way of his new found friend and be like, whoa, boundaries, personal space, 3 feet, as he like puts himself in the middle of everyone.
The guard dog is yapping again. Chimera and Dark, you might want to get your pet under control.
You want me to?
He's not a pet. He was talking to me.
Fooled me. It sounded like he was yapping.
Quite a polite conversation before you got involved, actually. Do you mind if we have a quick word?
Maybe you shouldn't be lying. And yeah, so she's kind of coming up,
never
and
lie. What are you talking about?
we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna say this is gonna be a contest with Churro again, but Fios, you could help in this situation if you'd like. It might put you in a position where you could get some stress out of this as well if Churro doesn't do well, but you can give Churro, I believe it's one of your attributes, or is it your, I think it's attributes.
It's an attribute, yeah.
So you can give DeAngelo one of your attributes to help, and DeAngelo, you're gonna roll first, and again, you are trying to stop this situation in its tracks, and she still has that stress you gave her. So you get to roll that D10 in your dice pool as an additional die as well.
Would I now? Okay, one thing I love about Cortex and this system is like it's kind of like a Shark Tank moment where it's like all right, sharks, could I please use my warrior die to like crack my knuckles and to like flex my muscles and be like, all right, stop. We're gonna. It was like everyone's gonna cool down here, as or else, you know.
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect.
Absolutely. Yeah, you kind of like you puff yourself up. You're really like posturing because like and you know, you've got your friend over here, well, maybe not friend, frenemy over here, Hector, who like isn't like coming and being like, no, you have to stop. Like he's just like he's looking at her like chill.
Yeah, and then he'll just continue to be like, I know our mothers all raised us to have respect and kindness when we meet people, and that's exactly what we're gonna bring to the table right now. So he'll do courage, as he looks everyone in the eye, probably looking up as well.
Yeah.
And we're gonna do. Would strong arm grappler be one to continue flexing, or that?
So I think because you can pull those things apart. So it's like, yeah, like I am a grappler, I'm like really strong at that, but you can also be like, I'm buff. Like that's what this means as well. Like this means that I'm really strong, and like when I show these guns, people are going to run screaming.
Okay, good. And then and I guess I'll do shapeshifting to make myself a little bit more swole.
I love it. Yeah, like you're just like, I'm flexing, so they're getting big from that, but then they just keep getting bigger, and you're like, wait, what's going on?
And my jaw as well.
Oh yeah. And does your Pompadour get bigger too?
Exactly, yeah. It's to the point where I can't even stand up, so it's kind of like flailing. So okay. So rolling that, I got a 13.
Did you add the die from Kim and the extra D10 from her stress?
I did not actually.
Okay, so if you just cancel, don't end it. It should just keep your dice pool there.
Okay.
And then you'll go to that top right. There's that little die button, and then you can drag and drop a D10. And Fios, what attribute do you think you are contributing?
I am going to be giving. Like I was trying to be together and kind of like, you know, hey, we're doing this thing. So that's like reason again. I'm really bad at choosing my strength in these situations. So that's a D6.
D6? Okay.
I mean, I would also say that because this is all based on the lie that you told, you could use guile here as well.
Yeah, but I've been
like
caught
selling
out
this. Like you haven't heard about
right
the hot springs.
The thing is, we had hot springs in the border. Like that's one of the things. It's a natural phenomenon. They don't have it.
Totally.
So I was just shooting them off. However, as soon as she called me out that was a lie, I'm like, oh crap.
Like, oh wait, you're right.
And
he's so sweet.
Yeah, he's like,
let's protect this boy.
Actually, yeah. Oh, there you go. All right, and then do I hit roll again?
You hit roll. Roll that big old pool of 6 beautiful dice.
All right, 12. Oh, and then D10. Just to secure my success, can I spend a pop point to pull in another die?
Absolutely, you can.
Okay. I guess we'll do that there. So 15 is what I have.
15, cool. And I'm gonna go ahead and
I do have a hitch. Yeah.
I'm gonna buy that hitch from you, so you can take a plot point. And that is gonna be some stress of some kind, which I think is going to be
level 1. Okay.
It's gonna be a bit of grace stress right now. Okay. So it's gonna be a D4 of grace stress because it's going to be that the wyverns are really having fun with this. And as you start to grow, like they're sort of like taking advantage of like this moment to start to like kind of tie their limbs around like your legs to like make it so if you step forward, you're gonna trip. So this is very situational. Actually, I'm not even gonna make this, I'm not gonna make that a stress. I think this is just gonna be a complication. And what size is that die?
For my effect or for
the hitch?
Oh, for the hitch. Let me see here. I'm gonna go back to my roll. Where are play rolls? Is that mine? No. Oh, did I already? Let me see here.
I think I can just swim. I think it looks like a D8. So I'm just gonna say it is. So D8. I give you a plot point and bit of a D8 complication that is like, you know, this wyvern tying your legs, and so it's very situational. So now I'm gonna go ahead and roll for this Hydra, who is picking fights once again. She's having so much fun doing it. She's got her 2d8s plus that d8 of the thing I just said, the complication thing, you know, that thing. And this is gonna be, I think this is priest actually for her, because she's like, I know these things. I have this knowledge of this place. I'm calling you on it. I'm calling out that I don't know you. I'm familiar with this place. I'm an ally of this place. It's another D8. I might have to go get more dice again.
Is this specifically
her
Kofia
reason.
or?
This is Kofia. This is gonna be her reason. I'm rolling these dice up, and I did not roll good. Didn't roll any ones, but I didn't roll very well. I got a 9.
9?
So
Okay.
9 is not gonna do. So you beat her again, and you said you had a D10 effect die.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so she already has a D10 of courage stress. You can give her a different kind of stress, and she'll have a D10 of that. Or you can just step up her courage stress to a D12. She won't be taken out by it, but if you are able to pick another attribute and get it above its value, she'll be taken out because she'll have 2 attributes that are.
I think it'll be maybe we'll do it for reason. And then at this point, Churro will be like, "Why are you so like aggressive toward?" Oh, I got it. And I look over to Fios and hit him on the little wherever I can reach his stomach, maybe. Like, my dad always told me girls are mean to people that they like. So like, obviously there's a romantic tension here. It's like,
oh no. Oh no.
And she blanches, and this definitely like shut her up. And it is now like the wyverns. They're like, this was gonna be fun. Like tripping was gonna be really fun. This is so much better. They're like, we can just totally mess with this chick. They like, you now feel like as they just like untangle their weird stretched limbs from around you. And now they're just like, kind of like stretching their heads around. So they're shouting from this side and like shouting this side. Did you hear that Kofia likes churro? And just coming from like every part of the room with their weird like stretchy necks. And it starts to get, everybody starts to kind of have a good time. It like broke the tension. Like everybody's just kind of like, relaxed, but like Kofia and like her cultists, like they look kind of salty about it, but she just kind of like puts up a hand like to make them shut up. She knows it's gonna make it way worse, and she's just like, she's gonna get up and she's gonna get out of here as everybody's like having to get some slaps on the back. People are really impressed with you in this moment, Churro.
Like it happens as he pulls out a comb and like cleans Pompadour. Yeah.
And as you comb it, does the shapeshifting go back down?
Yeah, exactly. Everything goes back to normal. He's like, sorry, man. So like, what were you saying? Hot springs?
I might have been mistaken. I keep confusing it with the hot coals and the water that we saunas. That's what I'm talking about saunas.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah,
so how do you feel about capitalism? Really
cool. Like people are really like interested in what you're saying now, Fios. People are really interested in hanging out with you, Churro. Like great. And then as you're kind of like getting into this, you're finally like, oh my gosh, this is totally, maybe it's gonna be great. That's when that horn goes off that we heard with Minoa and Carissa. And so you hear that and you start to get gathered to go to the opening ceremonies. And so everybody's really getting funneled very much. The two of you coming from that back hallway, just kind of slip in with the crowd as casually as you can. In fact, Minoa, because you see these two people that at least like you're kind of, or one person, Fios, you kind of see that person, you kind of just join in with that, trying to avoid all these people you don't know. So now the group of you four kind of like traveling a little bit together as you make your way to where they're doing this opening ceremony. There's a big presentation of all of the champions. They kind of brought their own, again, like cultural dress, and like they do cool things like Hector as the Chimera does this fire breath routine that is very cool. And Churro, you and the other of your two warriors that are kind of there helping him, you do a cool routine. What is that routine?
We flex behind him, like kind of like Ginyu Force style, where we're just like,
but you can both shapeshift. So it's like you're doing this cool flexing, but it's like a really interesting like performance piece because of that ability to shapeshift, which is very cool. I love it. Carissa, as you go in for the siren, how do you present that?
That is a traditional dance and song.
And is it a nice kind of siren song, or is it more of the siren scream?
So over the arc of it, it begins very sweetly and singing of glorious victory to champions, and
People are lulled into it. They're like, oh my gosh, who is this person?
and telling the tale of the conflict it takes to get to the top. It becomes progressively louder and more dissonant and builds from the sweetness to the screech, and then stops and sweet as if nothing had ever happened.
And that sweet is almost like that ringing in your ears after something that's that loud, and it just kind of like fills in with everybody, and there's this silence as you finish. After all the other ones, there's a lot of clapping. This time it's just this dazed silence. And the last ones to go up, of course, is the hosting people, the Phoenix. Fios, what are you doing to present the Phoenix?
I know that there was a routine that they talked about, and the thing is, I think Magdalena gave me like about the absolute Cliff Notes version of it, which is to just try and make yourself look like you're presentable, right? I have not used any of my endarch powers to any great extent. Since the rebirth, though, I feel stronger in some ways about it, and so what I'll do is I'm walking up there, I'm trying to hug myself a little bit like I'm standing a bit taller, more prouder. I remember that the whole cause of my life is protecting this place from all threats external. I don't know why it's not internal, but that's fine. Always face out, if danger is coming from external. And in doing that, I'm going to rise up a little bit more, and I've got these people with me, the guards and so forth. And then at the moment where I'm sort of rising up to the point of the sort of like end of that march, I guess I would call it. Throughout, I'm just sort of looking at this way, and I'm looking over this way. I'm watching for the bad guys. The bad guys are coming, kind of thing. And then I'll just like spread my arms, and my arms will become huge fiery wings. And I'll lift up and do that, and I'm as surprised as anybody. Like that's like,
yeah,
wow!
It's the first time you pulled out those wings, and it looks amazing. And you know that you can see sort of like there's an area in this presentation space. You know, there's 2 thrones set up, not a third, because you are participating. And both of the other Phoenix endarchs are sitting there. They look actually pretty impressed, and you kind of like gaze around and you see your sister. And this time, instead of like she's like she's super excited for you. She's clapping and cheering. She's so happy. And then she sees like her superiors watching, and she like calms down, and she's like, can't hold in that excitement.
Yeah,
and then all of you are gathered. Yeah, go ahead, Drew.
Churro will hit like Hector and be like, they did like a singing and dancing, and they did like Phoenix thing. Why didn't you do that? That was way cooler.
Oh no.
To Hector, and then like
I wanted to bring animals, but they said it was too much trouble.
animals would have been cool. You should have done that. He just like
I guess I could have turned into an animal.
pulls out random jerky and eats it while he's
I
watching.
wish I had thought of that before. And you all kind of gather ready for, you know, some kind of speeching. And one of the Novarchs, one of the Phoenix Novarchs, steps forth. These beautiful, you know, orange, red, black robes. They kind of like go up so that it's black up here at the top and, you know, like fire at the bottom. They also kind of spread their arms out as wings. And then they kind of call for silence with sort of this Phoenix-like cry before everything kind of gets a little bit more silent, and they're able to sort of begin this ceremony. So they kind of introduce all of the locations and all of that, and then finally they get to kind of the end of it, and everybody's kind of like really getting, you know, built in together. So welcome to you all. It is my honor to light this ceremonial fire here today, a fire which represents a peace and equality that we have always been denied. Let these dates, let this Dekathlon mark a new beginning for our city-states. And, you know, the camera kind of looks at, you know, this crowd, but it then cuts to the athletes' chambers. And as an audience and as players, we know that there is a Hydra cultist that hid and stayed behind, and it goes to Hector's water skin. Well, it thinks it's actually Churro's water skin. It picks the wrong one, and it puts something in it. something inky black, something strange. Then we cut back to the ceremony. For too long, we have been one another's enemies, suspicious of one another's motives, driven by powers outside of our control to divide ourselves. And everybody's watching the crowds. Nobody really sees as Magdalena has sort of slipped into the crowd and gone towards sort of between two buildings, between this alleyway, and meets another figure that we've seen earlier, the other captain from Chris's ship, and the two exchange package. So I say to us now, we are not only Phoenix or Wyvern, we are not just Manticore or Griffin and Hydra or Chimera, Leviathan and Minotaur, Gorgon and Siren. We are Corsicans. And on this day, we set aside our differences and we come together. And we cut back to that wall that you two discovered earlier. And we see through that crack at the top an inky black tendril creeping out and then bleeding over this depiction of these 10 great eidolons dripping down, dribbling onto the floor. And we cut back. Let the games begin! And everybody cheers. That's where we're going to end today's session.
This is so freaking thrilling.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I'm so pumped. Y'all, thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in today. Thank you to my just incredible cast. If you have enjoyed this, you want to try out Eidolon Alpha for yourself, good news. You can hop over to cortexrpg.com. You can get a digital copy right away, and Eidolon Alpha is in there along with 2 other settings, plus a whole bunch of rules to build your own TTRPG games in, like, literally, if you want to make any kind of game, you can totally make it happen. And yeah, this has been super fun. Thank you again to my cast. Let's go ahead and figure out where you can find them on the internet to do more and more things with them because they are amazing. Let's go ahead. Sam, where can people find you?
Hello, I am causing mischief throughout the internet on Twitter at Tchaikovsky, ChaiKovsky, and you can get the full schedule of my regularly appearing mayhem on my Twitch page. That's twitch.tv/Delevely, DELEVELY.
Absolutely wonderful. Latia.
Hi, everybody. It's me. You can find me on Twitter at Latia Jaquise, and I'm still holding myself to it. I will spell my name by the time this is over. And you can find me on twitch.tv/Rivals of Waterdeep as the Aarakocra Monk Tahani on Sundays morning or afternoon, depending on where you are, 10 a.m. Pacific, noon Central. And I think you will be able to catch me tomorrow for Roll20Con, playing a game of Vampire the Masquerade. I'm joining the family. That's going to be really exciting.
I'm so excited. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
So good. Speaking of people who are, part of families, DeAngelo, where can people find you on the internet?
Yeah, so you can find me at that_DeAngelo on all across social media. And tomorrow, like they said, you can find me on my Twitch channel as that_DeAngelo to do Phoenix by Night, which is my own Vampire the Masquerade mini-series. It should be a lot of fun, have awesome people appearing and all that kind of stuff. Always doing shenanigans. I decided today that I'm going to one day do a Shrek D&D one-shot, so that'll be chaotic and that'll be amazing. So
Shrek is love, Shrek is love.
Exactly. So
may I just propose for Shrek?
There you go. Yep. All right. That is me. Thank you again for having me, and sorry about all the chaos that I unleashed upon you.
No, that is exactly that's exactly what I'm here for, along with failing to form words in my mouth space. Cam, how about you? How about your words?
I'm not quite as mythological as you are, but that's fine. You can find me, Cam Banks, on Twitter and other places at Boy Monster. You will see me there, posting far too often and distracting myself with all the fun things, geek and or nerdy. You can also find me on Instagram at Rusty Sellsword, and you can also find me at the Discord for Cortex, where I chime in every once in a while, answer questions, annoy some of our fellow mods.
Start fights.
Yeah, just throw things in the middle of conversations and then make everyone change their mind. It's a thing. But from here down in the wilds of New Zealand, as we slowly advance into summer, I look forward to all kinds of fun things coming up, and especially more episodes like this.
Absolutely. And I've been Melly Doucette. You can find me on Twitter at MellyDM, and also on that Cortex Discord. Come and hang out with us on there. There's always lots of fun things happening. And also, hey, if you have no idea where to start with Cortex, not just me and Cam, but the entire community there is so supportive and so helpful. They would love to help answer your questions and help you figure out how do I even build a game with this system. They love that stuff. So come and join us there. We would love to have you. And until then, thank you everybody for joining us. We are going to be back next week for more Eidolon Alpha. So come and join us then. Have a great one and take care.